Next, we have a couple speakers from Louisiana. We have Milton Kayette and Darryl Malek-Wiley. Milton lives in St. James Parish, Louisiana, where Mosaic Fertilizer's Uncle Sam phosphogypsum pile is located. He is a founding member of Rise St. James, a nonprofit grassroots faith-based organization formed to advocate for racial and environmental justice in St. James Parish. And then also we have Darryl Malek-Wiley, who works with the Sierra Club as a senior organizing representative in the Environmental Justice and Community Partnership Program. He has been working with community groups in Louisiana's Cancer or Death Alley for the past 38 years. So, welcome.
Thank you. Like I say, I'm Milton Kayette. I live in St. James Parish. I live right across the road from one of those stacks. And there are two stacks really, one on the east bank and one on the west bank. But this one particular one now here is on the east bank of the Mississippi River. And like I said, I live on the west bank of the Mississippi River. But when I was coming up, when this plant was built back in the 60s, and when I was a teenager, the fume and stuff, we could smell it that comes across the river whenever the wind is blowing across the river where I live as a young teenager. And they kill all the trees and stuff that it was letting out. Our pecan trees, we had pecan trees for days. But after it started releasing all that toxic fume, it killed the pecan. It didn't kill them. It didn't produce anything. There would be beautiful leaves and stuff, but no pecan. And now they're beginning to bear pecans now. But when I was a kid, it stopped. When I was a kid, we used to go pick up pecans by the sack. But when they started operation, it was called, I think, Atrico at the time. And it started killing, it wouldn't kill the trees. The trees wouldn't bear no type of pecan. And the smell was so horrible that if you smell it, you would get a headache. So many days I have gotten headaches from this radioactive stuff they were letting out. And I think still today they still do it, but now I live about a mile or 2 miles from it. That's the stack right there. And I live about 2 miles from it, but when I was a kid, I actually lived less than a half a mile. It was on one side of the road and I was on the other side. And I didn't know what it was. All of this sulfuric acid, not acid, when at that time, they say the stuff came from Florida and they processed it in St. James Parish. I didn't know I didn't know nothing about it until until we formed the Rise St. James organization, and I got more involved with the stuff that we have in our parish where I live. That's it. Beautiful rock. It's 200 and some feet high. And last year we had a break in the base. So it was hauling dirt around the clock to stop the leak. And then they eventually stopped it. And they couldn't stop it. It was gotten into the waterways, into the canals, and into the bayous, and also into Lake Pontchartrain. And from Lake Pontchartrain to the Gulf of Mexico. It was made all the way there. You know, so like I said, it was hauling dirt or sand dirt around the clock to stop that, to build up a dam to stop this leak. I pass every now and then and I look at that and say, Lord, don't let this stack burst on me while I'm passing by.
Yeah. Thank you, Milton. Let me talk a little bit, please.
Okay.
So, I've been working on this stack since 1984. Like Milton said, it was built in the 1960s until the Clean Water Act was passed in 1972. They used to discharge all this radioactive material into the Mississippi River, which is a drinking water supply of the city of New Orleans and all the communities between the stack and the city of New Orleans. And the Clean Water Act stopped them from doing that and started made them start building stacks. In 83, their permit was up for renewal, and they wanted to once again dump it all into the Mississippi River. And I didn't think that was a good idea. So I started researching it. And first, they only were going to have one hearing. It was going to be in Baton Rouge, which was north of where all the people drink the water. And we started researching it and found out with their own studies, they talked about it had a negative impact on aquatic life when mixed with Mississippi River water. So I looked and found out what they were talking about was 100% of the aquatic life died in the mixing zone with this stuff into the Mississippi River. And it was a very big fight for almost a year. We had to fight to get the plant so they wouldn't discharge in the Mississippi River. And you have to understand, these companies have tremendous political power. They inserted language in a unrelated bill in Congress that required EPA to grant them a permit of some kind by a set date. And luckily, we were able to stop that because of some legal things that we were able to do. It would have completely changed the phosphorus nitrogen ratio in the Mississippi River, which is against the Clean Water Act. And that's what was the, quote, legal hook. Last January, the company owns where the stacks are at. They have more land than what the stack is, and they lease their land out to a sugarcane farmer to grow sugarcane. He was out there trying to harvest his sugarcane, and his equipment kept running into the ground because it had been raised up. And he found out that what was happening was that the stack was starting to collapse. And he reported it to the company. The company had no idea that anything was wrong until the farmer said something. If he hadn't found it, we would have had a collapsed wall and would have had all this waste running into the Blind River, it's called, then Lake Pontchartrain, and would have been a world-class ecological disaster. So these situations, it's just tremendously bad idea. At one time, the company actually was extracting the radioactivity out of this in the process and making uranium yellowcake for use in nuclear power plants after it was refined and in nuclear bombs. So this is a very serious matter that we need to get addressed. And we're glad to be here educating people about what's going on. The community is in arms, have been in arms, and we will continue to work on getting this situation cleaned up. And thank Milton for his words and knowledge, and thank everybody that's watching us for watching. And I have my contact information on the next slide, I believe.
You're welcome.
And Milton's information there also.
Thank you, Darryl and Milton.